Joe Lindsley talking to you from the Carpathian Mountains of Western Ukraine, here with Taras Stolyar.
Good evening. Thank you, Joe.
Taras is in the Ukrainian Armed Forces and plays the most iconic Ukrainian instrument, the Bandura.
Before we continue, we invite you to follow our channel, the only American show reporting live from Ukraine every day.
Good evening, this is Joe Lindsley talking to you from Ukraine's Carpathian Mountains, and this is our Radio War Day Daily War Journal, which I broadcast every non-holiday weekday since February 2022. We continue here in a new format for 2025 with a lot more interviews. And for example, today, I'm happy to share with you my conversation with Taras Stolyar. He's a Ukrainian soldier musician. He plays the famous, iconic Ukrainian instrument, the Bandura, and he just completed a 2-month tour of the U.S. along with other soldier musicians, and he's got stories from that. And during that time, he played with Sting. We'll show you some of that video, and Taras will share some his experience of what it was like to play with one of his heroes during this difficult time. And we before that, just a quick overview of the news as we get back into the regular daily rotation here. It was not a calm holiday week here in Ukraine. By the way, in Ukraine, it still is Christmas time. People still celebrate Christmas. The greeting these days, instead of saying good afternoon or good morning, people say Christos Narodevsa, Christ is born, and then Savimo Yeho is the reply, glory to him. And that's really, Ukraine really, they keep Christmas well and well into January. And I like to reiterate that because it's such an unusual thing. I think that it's hard for the world to really imagine just how different Ukraine's celebration is of this holiday season compared to the commercialized Western world. And so important to keep telling that story. But as we see, the Russians celebrate holidays a bit differently. And not only were there attacks on Christmas Day, but also yesterday on New Year's Day in the morning. I just imagine, people trying to have some kind of semblance of life, bringing in the new year, probably going to bed late, and then a swarm of Russian Iranian drones attacked Kyiv city, the capital, at about 7 o'clock in the morning, New Year's Day. And clearly they were going for the presidential office on Bankova Street. That's where they were trying to hit and congregate. In the end, they did not hit those buildings of the government of Ukraine, but they did hit nearby residences, and they killed some people who were sleeping. For example, a well-known neurobiologist and his wife, who also was a scientist, they were killed. They were professors and beloved individuals killed in their building in the center of Kyiv by a Russian Iranian drone. So that was New Year's morning. And then go back to a week ago on Christmas Day. I'm not quite sure how well that's been covered in the West, but Russia launched a major brutal attack, missile and drone attack upon Ukraine on Christmas Day morning. And so these are some of the heavy things. I will say that, there's a lot of different opinions as we get closer to the inauguration day of President-elect Donald Trump. A lot of maneuverings happening. Some people are more optimistic about possibilities. Some are pessimistic. And there is a sense that maybe Russia is also a bit nervous. And that they might have to, try to inflict as much damage as they can. But that said, we were expecting the worst winter ever with no electricity and no infrastructure and possibly not even running water in major cities. And that is just simply not the case so far. Much like last winter. I think the first winter during this full-scale war was pretty terrible. But so far, there are power outages here and there, but it's, Ukrainians are able to adapt, and it's not so bad when it comes to life in the cities, besides these sort of weekly attacks. Something important to underscore. And then another piece of positive news for Ukraine, something very surprising too. Amazingly, for almost 3 years of war now, despite Russia doing everything they can to destroy Ukraine, Russian gas has continued to flow through this country. I've seen that pipeline in the forest, and it's astounding, right? Russia's doing everything they can to destroy Ukraine. Why would Ukraine still allow the transit of Russian gas? And it's because Ukraine was under contractual obligations. Countries in Europe, in particular Hungary and Slovakia, who are palish with Russia, needed this, and so it was sort of a bargaining chip. But that contract for the transit of this gas expired with the turning of the calendar to January 1st, 2025, and Ukraine decided no more. This was not a surprise decision, so European countries had time to adapt, but this is cutting off Russia's ability to continue to profit directly from oil and gas in Europe. There still is a pipeline that goes through Turkey. And then, of course, there still is the situation whereby India is buying unrefined Russian oil and gas and then selling it to countries around the world. So still plenty of problems there, a lot of loopholes in the sanctions. But now this Russian gas will no longer be flowing through Ukraine, something a lot of people wish had happened in 2022. The European dependence on Russian gas put Ukraine in a tough spot. So this is something new, change. There's a lot more in the coming days we can talk about as we analyze this, also affecting some other neighboring countries. And then last thing quickly before we get to the interview with Taras Stolyar, President Zelensky has announced plans to attempt to restore diplomatic relations with Syria. Actually, they did. They opened the Ukrainian embassy in a small ceremony in the Syrian capital. So this is, doesn't mean everything's great and fixed, but it's a sign of at least a little bit of weakening of Russian influence and something good, a good moment for Ukraine. We have a lot more to discuss. I hope, we'll get back into a good routine as the year takes off here. But for now, let's look at this conversation and listen to a little music from Taras, the great Bandura player, Taras Stolyar, Ukrainian soldier musician with the Cultural Forces, who just completed his tour of the U.S., and not only played for Sting, but also for my grandmother. Anyway, this has been Joe Lindsley. Thank you for following us. Please like, follow, subscribe, share. Help us get the word out about these daily reports for those who want an inside view of what it's like to be in Ukraine during this time. Thank you. And we welcome support as well to sustain our operations, our information efforts, and to help us in the always ongoing process of buying trucks and drones and anti-drones and 3D printers and all kinds of stuff for our friends at the front line. Thank you. Joe Lindsley talking to you from the Carpathian Mountains of Western Ukraine, here with Taras Stolyar. Taras is in the Ukrainian Armed Forces and plays the most iconic Ukrainian instrument, the Bandura. And we have some stories to discuss. Not only, Taras, did you play recently, you played in my parents' house in North Carolina. You serenaded my grandmother on her birthday, but you also played with Sting recently. And so we'll talk about these musical experiences you've been having as you represent Ukraine to the world. So Taras, good evening. How are you? You're in Kyiv tonight, yes?
Yes, I'm in Kyiv. Good evening. Thank you, Joe. It was very sweet in your house there and here. Nice to meet you here.
I mean, man, I have not been to see my family in a long time because of the war. I'm here every day, and so you guys were able to go and take my greetings there, and it was nice. It was my grandmother's birthday, and I saw the video. You were playing the bandura for her,
right.
As Sasha Bull was singing, and
yes, we were singing as greetings, like Mnoha Elita. For her, she was crying. It was really unbelievable.
It's wonderful, man. And that instrument, the bandura. Sometimes I say bandera, like the Stepan Bandera. No, Bandura is the name of the instrument. Bandera is a Ukrainian hero from 100 years ago.
Yes, quite similar things. Yes.
But the Bandura is it's 64 strings. Is that right?
It depends. My instrument has 62, but it depends of musician. Maybe you need more, so you can add. That is the way Bandura was created, I think, in the previous ages. They just added strings, and now it is like huge instrument with very, very nice and unbelievable sound.
And can you compare it to any other type of instrument? How would you compare it to, so people can understand?
Maybe with harp, but normally it has some different sound. Like, so sometimes pianos, like sometimes maybe guitar, sometimes harp, and it's everything because like it's our unique instrument, and you just need to listen to, and you will understand for yourself what kind it, what it's like.
And in a couple minutes we'll get to the conversation about Sting, but I heard people saying that it sounded like his voice was made for the bandura. It was such a wonderful harmony. But how did you like, are you from Kyiv originally? Where did you grow up, and how did you become a Bandurist, as they say?
Yeah, I was born in West Ukraine in Chernivtsi, um, and there I went to music school when I was about 7. I started playing bandura. We studied in music schools. It's a lot of children playing bandura here now, and now they moved also in Europe or America. So I think bandura now shares through all the world. And I started after that. I went to music college in Chernivtsi. After music academy in Kyiv, we have high school for Bandura studying. And after everything this was this education, I started to work in a state orchestra of folk instrument of Ukraine. It's a big orchestra, and about its whole the orchestra consists of different musicians, different playing different Ukrainian instruments. So together, I think it's about 60 different instruments. We can, because normally I play bandura, but also I can play some woodwind instruments of Ukraine, and everybody of us in the orchestra playing the same. And so last 20 years I worked in that orchestra,
Wow.
just till the time when full-scale invasion started, and yeah, and it's some different story after that.
Well, then you joined the military, right? In
Yes, right,
2022, or yeah.
yes. The very first day I went to Kiev Territorial Defense, and now I'm military.
And the just before that, quickly, your hometown, Chernivtsi, right?
Chernivtsi, right,
And
right.
that's southern Ukraine. It's near Romania. Near is
Yes,
it
right.
in the Carpathians or?
Yes, it's like
Yeah.
beginning of mountains. It's
Hmm.
not very big mountains, but it's very nice city. Very, very nice. I like it, really.
Yeah, I've seen photos of the university there. I think there's some
Yes,
very
right,
famous architecture there,
right.
and
Yes.
it has in the mountains or in that part of Ukraine, the old traditions are still pretty strong. I think, right? Musically,
Yes, but it's not
yeah.
tradition for Bandura. Normally,
Hmm.
Bandura playing here in the center of Ukraine or in the East Ukraine, it's a big tradition. The first Bandura, scientist says, maybe from 11th century. We have fresco in Kiev Cathedral, and there is a group of musicians. They playing different instruments for a night, Kiev night, and one of them plays some very special instruments. So scientist says they think it's bandura. But
Wow.
after that, in Middle Ages and especially in about 15th century to this time, bandura is a big part of Ukrainian culture. Is big part of this. Culture of defending our culture, of our history, our people, our language. So, and every enemy tried to kill Bandura players, but they couldn't. And so it's a big, really big, very historical tradition. But now we used to play also uh, contemporary music, so pop music, rock music, jazz, so different. But it's Bandura is really Ukraine.
And it's I guess we could say the Bandura is older than Moscow, right? I mean, it
Yes.
was there before Moscow even existed. And while are there so through the centuries were Bandura players specifically targeted to be killed by other
Yes.
regimes, by Russians and others? Yeah,
Yes. Right. Yes. Right.
because it was a
Yes.
way to
Because
transmit your.
yes, the Russian tried to explain people they are the same nation. We don't need to speak Ukrainian, and we just can be Russians with no difference. But these Bandura players, they put this history. They told people in the villages, in the towns, history about heroes, about about Ukraine. And that is what Russian wanted to kill. Even in 1934, They invited all of Bandura players to some like festival in Kharkiv in East Ukraine, and they killed everybody. And they burned out Banduras, and they wanted just to vanish this tradition because they understood this culture, these stories, these true stories about Ukraine. They helping people to understand who they are. So that's why Bandura is very important now in Frontline for guys. We told him the same stories. And also we share Bandura through the world to explain, to show our culture, because it's very, very special instrument, and it's very nice instrument with very nice sound. And that is, people can understand that Ukrainians are like nation, just
With the culture.
yes.
So how, speaking of that, Taras, how was your tour? I mean, for I think 64 days you were traveling the United States in the
Last
fall.
tour, yes, yeah.
What was that like? What was there anything that I mean? Did you ever meet people who were skeptical of Ukraine during that tour? Did you have conversations with people who didn't know what to think about Ukraine, and were you able to maybe change some people's minds?
Yes, we try to, because to explain for people they know about Ukraine, they supporting us. There's no reason, but we are very thankful for all Americans, all Europeans. They supporting us, and also we try to share information, true information about this war through Americans. They maybe don't have a lot of information, or also Russian propaganda. They do a big job in America, and we could understand these words, the same words, out of different people. They talk in that way of Russian propaganda. So, but we couldn't just share our propaganda. No, we share our culture. We explained what we have seen for ourselves. So we are military. We spent a lot of time in front line. We were just normal, ordinary soldiers in front line, and we know what war is. And before the war, we were just normal musicians, all of us. So we are civilians. We are no military. And this explaining these stories, they are working. And working very good. People just open their eyes and understanding that just civilian musicians, after wounded, after traumas, after our solist lost his leg.
He's the opera singer, right?
Yes, right.
Yeah.
And our violin player, she lost her eye, and also a lot of shrapnel involves her body. So this young girl, Oля Rukavishnikova. So, and all of us, we just normal people. we like music. We want to play music, but it was time to go to fight. And through these stories and through our music and our culture, we shared this information, and we tried to explain that we want to just to live normal way.
That's something I try to explain, because the Russians try to separate the Ukrainian military and civilians, and I keep reminding people most Ukrainian soldiers never wanted to be soldiers. You're civilians, and you're soldiers because you have to be to have your freedom. And so, Taras, you signed up originally as a soldier. You were not playing music. You were fighting. You were in the front lines, or what was it like for you?
Right. I went to territorial defense. I've been in like recognition unit. I operated drones after that. So I understood a lot of this drone operating. And I worked more than 1 year, 1.5 years about in front line. But after that, they invited me to culture forces, because Bandura is also very, very important. And after this first period of war for me, I started to play Bandura and to help our soldiers to go ahead, to understand what they are fighting for, and who we are. So this is different stories, but it helps. Music helps.
What was and maybe this is not of consequence, but do you remember the first time you played the Bandura after the full-scale invasion? Like, did you go for a while without playing music, or?
It was we have been in Kiev with my unit after working frontline just for I don't know vacation. I don't know in English. So yes, and we gathered in the forest near the house we lived, and I brought Bandura from my flat here, and we started to sing song. Just I didn't told guys I'm musician. And after that, I told that I can play a little. It's my job. And we sang a lot of songs, and they didn't want to go to sleep because it was so good to sing together, to listen to music. And so it was my first time just for my unit, and it was really
Wow.
cool.
Like a reminder of the old days and what the future can be, and then from
Yeah.
that you go to playing with Sting, man. What was that like? It was I because we'll play the video here, but it was Sting. I think his wife was there behind you, and you had your colleague Mikola playing the piano, and you guys. So what? How did that happen, and what was it like to? Now, I mean, I forget what was the song. It was "Fields of Gold" or
No, it was Shape of My Heart.
"Shape of My Heart."
Yeah.
And so, tell us the story, man. What happened? What was it like?
Um, Even in the first tour in May and June of this year, we met Sean Penn in Washington D.C. and he was very excited of our works, of our tour. We've been in 40 days tour. We done more than 100 concerts in that 40 days, and we told him about our work, about our work in USA and Frontline here in Ukraine, and he organized a concert just in his own house in Los Angeles, a concert for his like friends, for his colleagues, and he also invited Sting, and we did our program. We played our music. It was the concert. I played for Sting "Shape of My Heart" on Bandura, like in concert, my cover, because Sting is my best singer ever. And I like his song. I know all his interviews, and I know everything about him. What is just what I could know about him. So, and it was really cool to play for him. And after concert, he asked a lot. He was very excited about Bandura, about our program, about our job, and he asked a lot about how to play, how to construct it, and we like asked him maybe he is okay to play, to sing with me. Yeah, and I can hardly understand what it was. Even now, it was like in smoke. I don't know. For me, it's here is war, and here is Los Angeles and Sting, and I accompany Sting. So it is really unbelievable, but it is very important for us to have Sting beside me singing and talking in concert the next day about our tour, about our work, about Ukraine, because he is very important. He is very good musician. A lot of people liking his music, and a lot of people understand that he is talking about some very important things, and they will listen to him. So it's not us Ukrainians. They will come. It's Sting. It's Sting. So it was very. As for musician, it was very cool. But as for military, it was very important for us, and it is still important now.
Yeah, and to show the great depth of Ukrainian culture and Ukrainian musicality, and again, so many people that saw that clip of you and Sting playing together backstage or in the somewhere. And was it Sean Penn? Wait, is that clip from
Yes.
Sean Penn's house or? And they said that Sting's voice, it sounded like his voice was made for the Bandura. It was such a nice,
Yeah.
harmonious moment. And after his whole career, now he found this true goal here. It was really wonderful, man. And how would you, uh, looking back at your tour of the U.S., besides the moments with Sting, besides playing in my parents' house, was there any other special moment that really sticks out to you as something that was transformative for you, or where you felt that you really connected with the audience during all those shows you played?
Yes, it was very, very different concerts, events everywhere. So we played in veterans' house, we played in hospitals, we played for National Guard in California and in Florida, I think. We played so for military. We played a lot in for rescue team in fire station, and those guys are very very similar with us, so they know what comrade is. And yes, it's really some special. Sometimes we have had like concerts, really concerts with very nice sound, very nice audience, full audience, full of people. And so it depends very very, and everywhere it was very sweet also to play for our Ukrainians. They are living in United States, so for our diaspora, to play, these people are very close to us and they are crying. They understand what's going on, their relatives. I think most of them have relatives in front line now. So it was plenty of, I don't know, many thousand kilometers from Ukraine, out of Ukraine, but it was very, very close to have these people and to understand they are with us. And this is most beautiful thing of this tour, I think.
Yeah, man, it was wonderful to get the reports day by day. You played for like a police barbecue in
Yes,
Shreveport, Louisiana,
yeah, really, yes.
playing synagogues, churches, fancy
Yes,
concert
yes.
halls, people's houses. Really wonderful, man. And and I know, yeah, from what I heard, from not just from my family, but various people you met along the way, how much joy you guys brought, which is amazing because you're coming from a country, it's things are difficult here, but you're able to make people happy who are not living in a war, and it's just a great way to show the spirit of Ukraine. So,
Yes.
well, we'll play here the clip of you with Sting, and then some of the other scenes from that tour. And Taras, thank you, man, for everything you do for standing for the free world, and with music and a strong spirit. And anything else you want to say?
I also wanted to thank you because I have heard from your family you are so long here and you are doing your job. And it's also very, very important for us to have you people just here in Ukraine, and you can tell it to your guys and they understand that you are a similar man, but you are working here under drones, under rockets and missiles. So it's very important that everything this job is doing us similar, doing us stronger, and just together we can stop it. We can put our lives in the good way. And like, I don't know, it's like a conflict here maybe for somebody, but I think it's really now we decide the way our children will live in next years, 10 years, 100 years. So we need to decide and not to just lose it and to leave our hands apart of. So
Yeah.
together, thank you, all of you who support in Ukraine.
We decide, our actions now decide, you could say, the shape of our hearts, the shape of the future.
Yeah.
Uh, to borrow
Yes.
from Sting, but it resonates. Well, Taras, my friend, thank you, and
Thank
we'll
you.
have information in the description so how people can follow you and follow Cultural Forces, because you guys will, I'm sure, be going back to the U.S. I hope, and we'll keep everyone informed about that. And Taras, thank you so much. Duży dziękuję from the Carpathians. I hope it's a calm and safe evening there in Kyiv, man.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you. Thank you.
Peace, man.
Use the cause as a meditation. Those he plays never suspect. He doesn't play for the money he wins. He don't play for respect. He'd use the cards to find the answer. Sacred geometry of chance. The hidden law of a probable outcome, while the numbers lead a dance. Know that the spades are the swords of a soldier. Know that the clubs are weapons of war. For this art, that's not the shape of my heart.
Thank you for introducing Ukraine on your social media pages. That's very important that much more people can get more information about the situation here and how everybody can help Ukraine to stay stronger and to save all the world.
Що сказав?
Well, which side are you on?
На чиїй ти стороні,
Come on now. Oh, which side are you on?
на чиїй ти стороні.
Ебать,